In 1945, Germany was not a power, it was rubble. Cities flattened, industries erased, currency worthless. But within this devastation, seeds of something new were already being sown: discipline, resilience, and a hunger to rebuild. When the United States launched the Marshall Plan, it poured billions into Europe. Yet no nation used it like Germany did. The people worked longer, harder, and saved more. Within a decade, the Wirtschaftswunder, the economic miracle, stunned the world. The Deutschmark became sacred. It wasn't just money, it was identity. Germany swore never again to let inflation destroy its soul, as it had in the 1920s. Stability was their religion, thrift their virtue. Factories roared again: Volkswagen, Siemens, BASF. Germany became the machine of Europe, crafting goods so precise, so reliable, that Mins in Germany became a global badge of excellence. Economics met ethics. The social market economy promised free enterprise with compassion, capitalism with a conscience. It was neither American nor Soviet. It was distinctly German. By the 1960s, Germany exported its way to prosperity. Cars, chemicals, and machinery flooded global markets. Every product sold abroad was a quiet repayment of the country's moral debt to the world. Economic greatness could not erase historical guilt. So Germany built its power not through armies but through trade, diplomacy, and efficiency, influence without intimidation. With the Iron Curtain dividing Europe, West Germany became a capitalist stronghold. It was America's front line against the East, but also the economic engine that powered Western Europe's survival. By the 1980s, Germany's prosperity became the foundation of European unity. The dream was clear: one continent, one currency, one destiny. Guided by German precision and financial discipline, Germany no longer needed tanks to dominate Europe. Its weapons were trade surpluses, balanced budgets, and an unmatched industrial machine. A new empire was born, one of economics, not conquest. After centuries of war, Europe dreamed of peace through prosperity. A common currency would bind nations together, a single heartbeat for a divided continent. In 1999, the euro was born. Behind the scenes, one nation's economic philosophy quietly defined its soul. Germany's balanced budgets, strict inflation control, and fiscal discipline became Europe's commandments. Most thought the euro made everyone equal. In truth, it made Germany stronger. Its powerful industries now sold freely across Europe, while weaker nations could no longer devalue their currencies to compete. Greece, Spain, Italy, these nations borrowed heavily to keep up. German banks happily lent the money, and German factories reaped the profits. Europe's unity was built on imbalance. By the 2000s, Germany's trade surplus was colossal. While others consumed, Germany produced. Its exports became the bloodstream of the Eurozone and its policies. The pulse, but the system had cracks. To maintain its advantage, Germany demanded austerity, low spending, low inflation, and low wages. Other nations suffocated under these rules, while Germany thrived. When the 2008 global crash came, debt exploded. Greece fell first, then others trembled. Germany, the creditor, dictated the cure: budget cuts, tax hikes, and pain. Europe's unity turned into resentment. Germany's northern allies, the Netherlands, Austria, Finland, followed its discipline. The South drowned in unemployment and despair. The euro had united the map but divided the people. Angela Merkel became the guardian of the system. Her cautious pragmatism preserved German strength but deepened Europe's fractures. Critics called it leadership without vision, power without empathy. Without firing a shot, Germany had achieved what no army ever could: economic control over Europe. Yet the victory carried a curse. The more Europe depended on Germany, the more fragile it became. For decades, Germany's economic empire ran like clockwork: efficient, predictable, invincible. But beneath the gears, everything depended on one fragile foundation: cheap Russian energy. In the 2000s, German leaders saw gas pipelines as symbols of peace. Trade would prevent war, they said. But in reality, dependence was forming: energy as a chain disguised as a handshake. Russian gas fed German factories, heated German homes, and kept prices low. It was the hidden fuel behind the nation's export miracle and the silent trap that would one day snap shut. Germany's leaders embraced renewable energy, shutting down nuclear power. But the transition came too soon, too fast, leaving the nation vulnerable to imported gas, a strategic mistake dressed as morality. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the illusion shattered. The pipelines closed, the markets panicked, and the heart of German industry began to freeze. Overnight, the empire of efficiency became an empire of crisis. Factories halted. Chemical giants like BASF slashed production. Energy prices soared beyond imagination. For the first time since World War II, Germany faced the prospect of economic contraction born not of failure but of success that had gone too far. As Germany stumbled, so did Europe. The entire continent's supply chain depended on German production. What had once been the backbone of European strength became its weakest link. Into the vacuum stepped the United States, offering liquefied gas, military aid, and strategic control. The very empire Germany had tried to balance now reasserted dominance. History, it seemed, had come full circle. Within Germany, the debate ignited: how could the land of logic have made such an illogical mistake? Was moral ambition to blame, or arrogance disguised as virtue? Politicians argued as factories fell silent. The mighty German model, exports, discipline and balance, had met its limit. The strategy that once united Europe was now dividing it. The same strength that built the empire had become its curse. Empires never collapse in silence. They echo through time, in markets, in policies, in the quiet panic of nations realizing their fate is tied to another's downfall. Germany's empire of wealth was no exception. Its strength had built Europe, its failure now threatened to break it. As energy prices soared, inflation consumed a continent. In France, factories dimmed their lights. In Italy, families rationed electricity. The economic miracle turned into economic emergency. Germany's crisis was now everyone's burden. The European Central Bank faced an impossible choice: raise rates to fight inflation, or protect fragile economies already breaking under debt. The very structure of the Eurozone, built for stability, was not made for crisis, born of one nation's miscalculation. Steel, chemicals, and manufacturing, once the engines of Europe's growth, slowed to a crawl. BASF, Siemens, Volkswagen. Each symbol of industrial might was forced to confront a world where energy was no longer cheap and trade no longer certain. What had taken 70 years to build began to unravel in months. Factories shifted to America, where energy was cheaper and subsidies stronger. The economic heart of Europe began to hollow out, slowly, quietly, fatally. As economies weakened, populism surged. The far right and far left blamed globalization, migration, and Brussels. But beneath every slogan lay a single truth: Europe's unity had been built on German strength, and now that strength was fading. Across the Atlantic, Washington regained influence. Energy exports, defense deals, and NATO spending turned dependency into opportunity. Germany's fall was America's moment, a return of the old order under a new name. Economic control through strategic chaos. Europe began to realign. Poland and the Baltics turned eastward toward the US and Britain. Southern Europe looked inward. Germany, once the anchor, now struggled to find its place in a shifting balance of power. Germany had built its empire not through conquest, but through conviction, the belief that trade could replace war, and efficiency could replace power. Yet history had proven merciless. Moral ambition cannot outlast geopolitical reality. The empire of virtue was still an empire, and it had fallen like all before it. As the smoke clears, one truth remains: every empire writes its own downfall. Spain, Britain, America, Germany, each rose on the same pillars of wealth, belief, and overreach. The only constant is the cycle itself: power gained, power abused, power lost. The question now is not whether Germany will rise again, but which empire will fall next.